Well, good morning, boys and girls. It's good to see you all today. This is August the 9th, and it's a special day for my wife and I. We're actually not in church today. We're actually away for the weekend. I'm recording this a few days early. This is our 40th wedding anniversary. That's right. Mrs. Foreman and I have been married for 40 years. That's a long time, but I have to tell you, it's some of the best years of my life, and I couldn't be happier, and I hope that she'll say the same thing about me. At any rate, today I want to tell you a story about Jesus and his disciples that took place once upon a time near the Sea of Galilee. Now, I've been to the Sea of Galilee, 12 or 13 times in my life. It's probably nothing like you suggest that you might expect, but I'm going to share some things with you today to tell you about the Sea of Galilee and to share this story about Jesus and his disciples with you.
The Sea of Galilee is a beautiful place. It's not as big as you might think. It's really more like a lake than a sea. You can stand on one side and you can see all the way across to the other. Usually it's sunny and it's pretty, it's full of fish. It's a wonderful place to live, and I think you'd like it very much. But the Sea of Galilee is kind of set down in the ground. As you can see from this picture, it's surrounded on three sides by high mountains and hills. So when the wind blows from the west to the east, which is across the mountains, it's still sunny and beautiful and a nice breeze. But once in a while, the wind blows from the north to the south, like this. It comes up the Jordan River, which comes in on the one side of the Sea of Galilee near Capernaum and goes out the other. And boy, when that happens, there can be some terrible storms that are very dangerous and very frightening. One of the things that people like to do when they visit there is to get on a big boat and to sail across the Sea of Galilee. Quite often they'll stop in the middle and they'll have a worship service. We did that once ourselves. We got on a big boat like this one and we sailed halfway into the middle of the Sea of Galilee because we wanted to have a worship service in the same place that Jesus and his disciples used to worship. Now, normally the Sea of Galilee is very calm and beautiful. This is a sunset on the Sea of Galilee, and you can see how still the water is and how pretty the towns are. Well, we left that day early in the morning, and it looked kind of like this when we left. But when the wind changes direction, oh my goodness, those waves get high, the wind blows hard, and for a very quick moment, and sometimes faster than you can even imagine, you're in a very dangerous place. We were caught out there once while we were trying to worship. The wind blew so hard that it blew all of our stuff off of the boat, and we barely got back to shore in time before the storm really hit badly. Well, the same thing once happened to Jesus and his disciples, actually to his disciples, and I'm going to read you the story that talks about what happened on that day on the Sea of Galilee. The disciples had a long and tiring day, and Jesus put them on a boat to go over to the other side to visit another town. It turned out to be a very stormy night, and the wind tossed the waves all around, and in the middle of the night, they looked out and they thought they saw a ghost walking across the water, but it wasn't a ghost. No, it was Jesus walking on the water. And they were scared because they saw him and thought he was a ghost, but he told them not to be afraid, but really, who wouldn't be afraid? So seeing that they were afraid, Jesus said, "Hey, don't worry, I'm going to be with you." And Peter, who was in the boat with the disciples, wondered if it was really Jesus or if it was just their imagination. So as Jesus got closer, he told Jesus to ask him to come out on the water with him to see if this was really true. And Jesus didn't say to him, "I'm sorry, Peter, water walking is only for messiahs." No, he said one word, "Come." And Peter did. He got out of the boat. Now, God calls us to do a lot of things, and sometimes you have to have a lot of faith. I'm guessing that for Peter to take that first step out of the boat in the middle of the storm, he had some real faith. But then guess what? He actually walked on the water. Now, this might be a nice place to end this story, but the story isn't over. Let me tell you what happened as I read from the Gospel of Matthew. When Peter had come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. When he saw the wind and the waves, he was afraid. he began to sink, and he cried out, saying, "Jesus, save me." Peter was doing fine, because with faith you can do very difficult things. He kept his eye on Jesus. He walked on the water. But when he took his eyes off of Jesus and looked around at the world, at how crazy things were, how hard the wind was blowing, how high the But that's also when Peter prayed the shortest prayer you'll find in the Bible. Jesus, save me. And Jesus told Peter he should not have doubted. And he reached out and he grabbed his hand and he took him back to the boat and he put him back inside. And when they got there, people were so impressed that they had a worship service right of their own, right there on the boat in the middle of the lake. The wind stopped and they all said to Jesus, "Wow, you really are the Son of God." Jesus, save me. I think that's a good prayer for us all to say. It's sure an easy prayer to remember, don't you think? And we do need Jesus to save us. Because sometimes we forget. Jesus is right there with us to help us. Sometimes we let the crazy storms of this world make us afraid and we start to sink. We quit trying to help others. We don't go to worship. We don't pray. We're afraid to even walk. So we need to remember all the time this short prayer. And also that if we can keep our eyes on Jesus, then we can do wonderful things.
Well, that's all I have for the day. I hope to see you again next week. If not online, certainly in person. You have a good week. You listen to your parents and make sure that you say your prayers to God every day. Remember the easiest prayer to say, Jesus, save me. Goodbye.